Good morning. Big Joe here, along with Jeff Rickard from the Morning Show. And we just wanted to make sure that you know to rise and shine with our new FM frequencies, only on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. We're already moved in. Come on over and have a listen.
It's the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe. Right now, we're talking Colts football.
Yeah, we are. Who are we talking Colts football with right now, Big Joe?
Jeff Sunday.
Whoa, Jeff Satuday.
He's all about Sunday.
Well, he is all about Sunday and Monday, too, because he talks about it here on The Fan with us. Good morning, Jeff Satuday. How are you? Here, Joe, giving you some disrespect right off the bat.
No, I remember Jeff was talking about, you said you love going to the Meadowlands and playing because the Jets fans in particular, Saturday, it's Sunday. What are you doing? You know, there's some fan bases out there that you just love to get into.
I mean, I used to guys like, listen, I'm coming all the way up here. At least bring me some new material every year. Like, what's going on? It can't always be that. You know what I mean, Big Joe? I'm like, it's got to be the same guy sitting in the same seat. I'm like, come on, man. Go back to the drawing board and come back with something a little better. We had some fun up there.
Jeff Satuday brought to you by More Restoration, the experts in fire, environmental, and water damage restoration. So, Jeff, can we just officially call Nashville a southern suburb of Indianapolis now? Can we just annex that place and give it its rightful spot? Start taking some tax money from them?
Just bring it to the fold. You know what I mean? How good is that territory, man? It has been so good. That was I'll tell you yesterday, man. That was one of the more exciting wins that I've been a part of. Just watching as a fan, man. It was, you know, you're on the edge of your seat. You're just thinking, man, we got to make this play. And then they continue to make them and just give the Colts a ton of credit. That's a hard-fought game right there. And, you know, last week I think most people were already crowning Tennessee for how good they were, how convincing their first week one win was. So always fun to watch that.
This is what we can expect from this team, right? It's going to be team pulling together, you know, probably no real crazy theatrics or anything, but, you know, maybe a big sack somewhere. Maybe it's a big touchdown throw, but maybe it's your offensive line in a 4th and 1 with a quarterback sneak. It could be that way too.
Boy, what a gutsy! I mean, good gracious! I mean, listen, I'm not sure I make that call. I mean, Frank's got he's got a level of confidence in that thing to call the timeout and then come right back on the 4th and 1, like you said, and knowing you're going to go get it, and just the ability to have that type of confidence. I love the way that the team plays, though. When your coach constantly gives you that encouragement that, man, we're going to go win them. We ain't worried about losing them. We're going to go win them. I think it does something to your team. And to your point, this was another victory in the Frank Reich era where he's going all in on his guys. And if he does lose, he'll take full credit for it and say, hey, I should have done something different. But there's something about the way that he leads that when guys buy in, you see these type of results. And that was a gutsy call and a gutsy finish to the game all the way around.
But, Jeff, take us even further in there, because it's not just that he believes in his players. It's not just that he's going for it on 4th down. Like, he does it with a plan. They knew exactly what they were going to do and how they were going to do it, and probably planned for that possibility throughout the week and maybe even throughout training camp. This isn't just going for it and being reckless. Like, they knew exactly what they were doing and how they wanted to do it, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about what he's going to do, it's 4th and 1. He realized the situation. He realized timeouts. He understands everything that he has in play. He also understands where he's punting the ball to, what that's going to look like. You know, how is this thing going to play out long term for the field goal only being up to, you know, what are the chances? And I guarantee you, in the back of his mind, he's thinking, look, I'd rather go home winning this thing than go try to play it safe, punt it, and give them a short field to come back. I mean, even if you put them on the 30, 35-yard line, you're talking about one or two plays get you, with a 57-ish yarder. I mean, it's close, man. And so I just think he just has a mentality about him, Jeff, and exactly what you're saying, though. It's outside the norm for most NFL coaches, especially to Joe's point, the style of play the Colts are. We're not it's not a big play. We're going to go throw it all over. We're going to go run it. It's a concerted team effort that goes into all these wins. And so I think in my head, that's what I think about is that it's kind of all these parts, man, offense, defense, special teams, and then a coaching staff who really wants to put you in a position to go get the win instead of worrying about, hey, if we lose, if we don't do this.
All right, let's get to the elephant in the room. And one thing that did not get better from last week was the special teams play, and in particular, just extra points. Adam Vinatieri says, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Well, that's a day off here in Indianapolis today. You don't normally make that call unless it's going to be something big, right?
Yeah, and listen, I'm hoping that's not the key. I'm hoping he sits that back and thinks it through. I mean, look, I know he's struggling right now. I get that, but this is a guy who, if you're going to bet on it, man, I'm betting on him. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I love him as a competitor. I've had him in my locker room, and I'm going to say this: I played a lot of football in my life, been around a lot of locker rooms, and kickers aren't usually considered football players. You know what I mean, Joe? I mean, Let's be honest, right? He is. He is a football player, man. I mean, this guy, I love him. I love his heart, man. I love his energy. I love his effort. He's not the guy that, is bringing golf clubs on. This guy is a focused football player and has been for almost a quarter of almost 25 years, man. And so, man, I get he's struggling. I'm hoping he tries to work through it. But like you said, that shocked me when he said Monday. I didn't love that, but I'm hoping it was just in the moment, and he gets a little time, and they all sit back and think about it, and hopefully for my heart, my issue, I'm hoping he hangs around.
Yeah, I was going to say from head coach Jeff Satuday, how if you were directing that meeting with Frank Reich, you were Chris Ballard maybe, and you had Adam come in, how's that conversation going to go today?
Hey man, we're riding you, man. We're going. We're going to come back, get to work. Let's get this thing going. I was in a situation that was not the same because of the caliber of player, so I don't ever even like using these scenarios. But when I was in Green Bay, Mason Crosby had a really tough year and was just struggling, man. And to Mike McCarthy's credit, he stuck with him, ended up sticking with him, and Crosby's, again, still there now. But he just had one of those years, man. It just wasn't a great year for him. In very similar situations of what's happening with Vinny, but he rolled it in on him, and Crosby would have he got kind of a bumpy start, those kinds of things, but worked through it, and I'm hoping that's kind of the mentality that hey, as we're coming back. But the coolest part about Adam and even this staff and this organization is nobody's trying to hide it, right? I mean, everybody understands. I mean, you even I know Irsay even made comments about it. We get it's pro ball, man. You're paid to do a job. You got to do your job. There's accountability. There's all of those things. So no one is pretending like it's not happening. It's just a matter of what's the best solution. Do we think there's somebody else who can come in and be better? And if not, we're going to ride with our guy.
Well, this team still has playoff aspirations, even with Andrew's retirement. It's still playoff aspirations, and as you get through the first 2 weeks here, you've seen Jacksonville, you've seen Houston, we just saw Tennessee. It's a winnable division for this team, but even to get past that, you need to stack up wins so home field becomes a part of this also, or at least maybe a bye or something like that. So you got to make this decision somewhat quickly, right?
Yeah, I think, and again, it all goes back to what's your plan behind this? Is what is if you have a plan, if what's the conversation you're having with Vinny, but what's the true thought process behind everything? But I do think you have time. I mean, the one thing I would always say is the first 4 weeks of most seasons, you have no idea what your team is. I mean, I know everybody thinks they do. Everybody has an idea. But the reality is you got to let things play out. it's just one of those things in the NFL. I always say the first 4 games of the season, it shows you a little bit. You don't really know who you are. You're not going to know that until after that first quarter of the season. So when you're saying, would you make a decision quickly, I would not make it this quick. I would tend to wait, push this thing off. If it's coming from the organization side, I would say no. I would wait on this one. This is way too big of a moment. Because listen, as big as regular season games are, to your point, you want to get to the playoffs. You want to win playoffs, and you got a guy who is a rock star when it comes to that kind of thing. And so when you're looking at it, you're thinking you got to weigh this thing out. That's not an easy decision, and definitely not one that I would make lightly.
Jeff Satuday joining us here on the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Brought to you by More Restoration, the experts in fire, environmental, and water damage restoration. Give us a grade on Jacoby Brissett. What'd you see in him 2 games into this is his team now. It's a little different than when he was a season-long fill-in. I mean, this is his team. Where are we at with him?
Yeah, I think it's as expected for me. I think to Joe's point, this is kind of what we're going to be. I thought yesterday was an okay day. When you look at but I felt like that kind of for everybody. Whether it be Mac running the running, we have the one huge run, obviously, that was a huge pickup late that helped us. But as you're kind of looking at it, not anything was really hitting on all cylinders. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like it was a track meet where everybody's going up and down. This is we're all going to kind of be balanced on each other. But as for how this thing has played out, I think Jacoby has done as well as you could ask. I mean, this guy has stepped in all the circus environment that went around Andrew retiring at the moment he did, where they were in, all those things. If you're the Colts organization, you are extremely happy that you had Jacoby Brissett as a guy that you're handing the ball to, and he's met up to the challenge, and he'll continue to get better. And the more reps he gets, and the more reps he gets to see and go with guys, they'll all get better. They'll all get more accurate. Their timing will all get better. And I think that's my expectation as the season goes on.
All right, Jeff, week 2 of the season, this one seems a couple of different stories come out of it. It seems to be NFL officials have more problems, but also lots of starters hurt. Pittsburgh, Roethlisberger and James Conner, Drew Brees, Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey in Philadelphia. This is just 2 weeks in. How big is this going to be, and how do you see this playing out as we go further?
Well, from the referee side that you're asking, I mean, man, like we all saw this coming. So there's absolutely no surprise that this thing has been a absolute disaster. I mean, you're looking at this thing, and it is exactly. I mean, the day they announced this thing or talked about it was the first thing I said. Red zone is going to be near impossible to govern or ref because of what you're asking these guys to do. The pick plays, all the different things, can a play be overturned, all this stuff on. There is no way to be clear and obvious or whatever language they're trying to use that we all know is absolute garbage. This thing has become already week 2. It's already a disaster. Way to go, right? Let's add in more controversy based on referees. So let's get out of that one. Player wise, I mean, here's always been my thought. If Steve McKinney doesn't have an emergency appendectomy, I may never make it on the field, right? So I hate when guys go down. I understand that fans attach to players all the time, and you love players, and you're all for that. But it's also giving another guy an opportunity, man. There's a lot of great football players who are having to wait their turn. And so when it is their turn, they got to jump up and grab that opportunity and make the most of it. And that's why you go too deep on football teams. And so you hate when, the Drew Brees of the world and, like you said, the Roethlisbergers, the injuries that are big name and that type of stuff. But it happens all over the league. There's linemen who are getting hurt and no one's talking about and that are good football players as well. But it has to be it's a game of attrition. And, Joe, you and I know it, man. We wouldn't have had careers if it wasn't for a game of attrition and give somebody a shot. And there's a lot of guys who can do it at a really high level. And you hope those guys, I mean, if it wasn't for Le'Veon Bell and what he does, does Conner get the same shot? So it goes that way for everybody, man. I mean, we're all we're one play away from the next guy being a starter, and we hope that those guys come in and put a product on the field that everybody enjoys watching.
Well, we're just letting you know that you're back next week, so we got that going for us. You're good.
Yeah, you didn't get hurt today, did you?
Yeah. All right, buddy. Thanks, Jeff. We'll talk to you soon.
Y'all have a great one.
You too. Have a great week. Jeff Satuday brought to you every Monday morning to talk about the Colts from More Restoration, the experts in fire, environmental, and water damage restoration. Joe, we can start now. Kevin Bowen is in the room. Bring him into the conversation. Find out.